Zombie Apocalypse.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Pat Voss, and this is the Dynasty Podcast. This is episode 40 of the vlog series. I can't believe it. We're already here. I'm here with my Blue Yeti microphone. I'm here with my Logitech camera, my Sennheiser headphones. Guys, I'm ready to go. A couple of things I wanted to get into today real quick, right off the bat. Conor McGregor and Diaz, like I said in yesterday's episode, Diaz-McGregor 3 might happen in 209. I'm still looking into that. Another thing is Ronda Rousey might retire for good. And there's one more thing for you guys. Another thing for you is in WWE, you have a terrible, terrible, terrible thing happening right now. And I'll get to my shirt here in a second. You have a terrible, terrible thing happening right now. And that is Kurt Angle and Cody Rhodes, the son of Dusty Rhodes, the Dusty Rhodes. You have the son of Dusty Rhodes and Kurt Angle, one of the greatest all-time actual wrestlers that has ever participated in the WWE, for some reason or another, are wrestling at a fucking high school. They're wrestling at a high school because their careers are about over with WWE as a whole. So they're going to wrestle at a high school at some kind of Wrestle Fest or whatever it's called. And that's terrible. I mean, that's something that's like a major leaguer playing all his life and then, and making millions of dollars, retiring and moving on to play minor league ball in A ball for the rest of their lives until they're like 75 years old. That's kind of what this feels like a little bit. And I feel bad for Kurt Angle and Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes never quite made it. He was Stardust for a little while, the brother of Goldust. In reality, as obviously as well as anybody that knows wrestling will know that those two are related. But Stardust, I mean, he had something going there for a while, and they apparently played out his character, and his contract ran up, and he was done. He was done. He's going to leave. He's going to take off. Another thing, esports gaming. There's a guy that I used to actually spend time with on Xbox. Used to play all kinds of games. His name is Brittick, Brittik HD. Brittick HD. Good Gamer's got over 22,000 subscribers on YouTube. I will hopefully be contacting him and having him on the show as a guest here coming in February. So definitely keep it locked there. By the way, so there's an interview schedule. I have an interview schedule finally. You guys, January 21st, it's a Saturday, I will be interviewing Andrew McDonald of Possess Your Success, possessyoursuccess.com. You can go check him out, and he will be on my show on the 21st. Also on the 28th, I will be having Matt the Axe Brax, a good buddy of mine, amateur MMA fighter, about to make his pro debut in February. He will make an appearance right before his pro debut here on my show only, the Honesty Podcast. And there's a little snap for you. Anyways, he'll make an appearance here. He'll be interviewed by me. And then he also has a training kit as well, but I'll let him introduce that. We'll talk about that come the 28th of January. But keep it locked right here for those two. I do have a couple other people coming on. Amir Gray, who, if you're not familiar with him, it's Amir Tubad Gray. It's Amir Tubad Gray, Gray. Go check him out at the Gray Guy or thatgrayguy.com. And also go check him out at Amir Tubad Gray on SoundCloud. He's got some great music out there, and he actually has out there, it's not for downloading yet, but he does have out there the soundtrack to the intro that's going to be my Q&A sessions coming January 22nd. So if you check him out, he'll be on the show as well. I believe the first Saturday in February. So we have every Saturday, I think, for about 3 or 4 weeks now. We have 3 weeks in a row. We have a show, a Q&A session, or a interview session, and then Sundays, every Sunday starting the 22nd, I will have a Q&A session live on only Podbean, iTunes, and Stitcher Radio app. I am going to try to reach out to SoundCloud and Spreaker Radio, so you can find me in a little bit more places. I am on iTunes now. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm fully RSS feeded into Podbean, iTunes, and Stitcher, and I'm going to pick up SoundCloud and Spreaker. So, guys, that's one thing I wanted to talk about. Another thing I wanted to talk about is this shirt. The shirt here, I mean, it's a Walking Dead shirt. I bought it last night. It's nice. It's got everybody. It's got all these walkers. It's got Michonne. It's got Rick. It's got Negan there at the bottom there. Where is it? Down there. One of everybody's favorite characters. That's Daryl. I mean, you have all these walkers. You have all this pandemonium going on. And if anybody's familiar with the series, definitely, I'm not going to have any spoilers for people that are not familiar with the series. So just know, come second half of season 7, it's going to be on. It's going to be an all-out war. I'll let you guys figure out what that means that haven't watched and caught up on season 7 yet. If you haven't watched The Walking Dead at all, I suggest one of 3 series to binge watch. I'd say Sons of Anarchy is one for me. Number 2 is Breaking Bad. And number 3 would be Walking Dead. Definitely go and binge watch Walking Dead. Hey, there's Sammy in the background. Hi, Sammy. How you doing? That's our cat. Anyways, hi. So Walking Dead is my 3rd favorite show, I would say, as far as binge watching. Now, my favorite current show, because it is still on and going until I found out some other breaking news. Walking Dead is my all-time favorite right now. For the moment, I love this show. I love watching it. It's finally picking up where there's not really a lull in any of the seasons. These last 2 seasons have been hellacious. Basically since season 5. Season 5 on has been pretty good. Season 5 on has been pretty good. 1, 2, 3. It took a while for you to get used to the characters and some of the situations and new and terrifying enemies. But I'll still say this. I'll still say that Walking Dead then is number 1 right now. But another thing I found out, some nice news. It looks like season 6, a final season of Breaking Bad, is actually coming back to television. And a season 6 meaning that, if anybody, and this will be a spoiler alert, by the way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If anybody has seen Breaking Bad and season 5, where Walter White gets shot in the end and is lying there dying while Jesse drives away from that meth cooking factory that they had going for him. You think it's over. Jesse gets what he wants. Saul is gone, and Walter's dying. And his family's left him, and all this thing is going on, and it's not good for anybody. But they're bringing it back for a 6th season. I don't know exactly when. When I find out, I will update you on the details. But for right now, it looks like a season 6 is definitely happening for Breaking Bad. I can't wait. I know Sons of Anarchy is fully over. There was a definitive end to season 7. And, of course, with Walking Dead probably ends in about 9 or 10 seasons. It's going to be great. It's going to be great to see exactly how they end some of these shows. Another thing I wanted to bring up, by the way, does anybody notice how there's no more talk of really Aaron Rodgers? And I know people say, well, they just talked about him yesterday. No, that's not what I mean. There's not really let me put it like this. When ESPN wants to glorify someone, they glorify someone. When it's Peyton Manning, they glorify Peyton Manning. When it's Tom Brady, they do the same for him. When it was Aaron Rodgers in his comeback end of the season, and by the way, that for anybody on Podbean, Stitcher, and iTunes, that is air quotes going on big time. When Aaron Rodgers was having his comeback season, everybody tried to glorify him as this is the guy who's going to win the MVP because he had a comeback season. It's like, no. If you have an overall great season, like when the Panthers recently, they had gone 15-1 and went all the way to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they lost the Super Bowl, but they went 15-1 in the regular season and did a pretty good job of getting to the Super Bowl through the playoffs. That, to me, is deserving of MVP talk, one of the players on that team. For me to talk about Aaron Rodgers, a guy who barely made it out of the NFC North, I don't consider that MVP worthy. He barely made it out of a division where the Vikings trailed. Detroit, of all people, were the leaders for a while, and the Bears sucked basically all year. But for some reason, Aaron Rodgers is an MVP candidate in some people's minds. Whereas here's the thing. I know people will say about Tom Brady, and I don't like Tom Brady at all, but I will defend him in this point. When people say that he is MVP candidate worthy, I say okay, because it's a 14-2 Patriots team. They only lost one game while he was suspended. He came back and only lost one game. So what does that tell you? If it was up to me, I would probably guess that he would be the 15-1 team this year, or the Patriots would be the 15-1 team this year, and they'd be marching throughout the playoffs. Their only real obstacle would have been the Oakland Raiders, and now the Oakland Raiders are down to the third-string QB for the playoffs. And I'm so disappointed in that, because I was rooting Oakland-Dallas in the Super Bowl all the way, and now it probably is not going to happen unless some kind of miracle happens in the playoffs. That's one thing. Two, which is something I thought was really, really cool. The former Bears punt and kick returner, Devin Hester, is actually being signed for the playoffs by the Seattle Seahawks. So he will be a punt and kick returner for the Seahawks for all of the playoffs, which is kind of cool, because what if he's got one more last little run in him, and maybe that's what catapults the Seahawks over, let's say, the Green Bay Packers or the Dallas Cowboys, and gets them to another Super Bowl. Who knows? I mean, they went to back-to-back Super Bowls. They won one and lost one, and they barely lost the second one. And then last year, they didn't go. And now they have a chance to go to 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. And, hey, if they win another Super Bowl, that'll be 2-4 for Russell Wilson. One without Marshawn Lynch, which is interesting. That'll be a Marshawn Lynch void Super Bowl. So that'll be interesting to see. Another thing I wanted to say is, for anybody that's paying attention to the Bulls or the, any kind of Midwestern teams, especially here in Chicago, you're paying attention maybe to the Bulls, the Blackhawks for sure being the best team, or one of the best teams in the league and the best team in the West. I say this: be careful. Be very, very careful. Watch out for the Blackhawks, because they could go all the way. This year could be another year where they make it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. But here's a fact to remember. Every year since 2010 that they've made the Stanley Cup Finals, they haven't lost. They haven't lost. They have not lost. Every single year. 2010, they win a cup away. 2013, they win a cup. Same amount of games away. 2014, they are 1 goal away in overtime in a Game 7 against the LA Kings from going back-to-back Stanley Cup appearances. 2015, Stanley Cup. They win it at home in 6 games as well. Last year, they were bounced out of the first round as a terrible-looking team and looked like they just didn't have their feet under them the entire series. They got bounced out in the first round against the St. Louis Blues, who they now lead in the standings, and they're 2 games ahead, or they're 2 places ahead of in their division. The Wild are right behind the Blackhawks in the Central. But here's the thing: they are the best team in the West. Why would you not expect them to get all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals? Every other time they've been semi-good or even average. Whenever they've been average, and not below average, but average or above, they've reached the Stanley Cup Finals 3 out of 4 attempts. And 3 out of 4 attempts meaning the as close as they got in 2014, 2015 they reached, 2013 they reached, 2010 they reached. 3 out of 4 times and 3 cups to show for it. To me, that's a dynasty. Now they're trying to add another chapter. So definitely stay tuned. I'll see you guys later. Episode 41 is tomorrow.